Hello and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Kristina. And together we bring you experts and ideas to help grow healthy, happy, successful families that are both inside
and outside the box. If you like the show, be sure to follow Kristina on Facebook.
And please leave us a like review on your favorite podcast platform.
Today I have the pleasure of introducing Nicole Dubreuil Broglio. Nicole is a family coach with over a decade of experience empowering parents to build strong relationships with their children. She is a certified children's self-esteem elevation coach and an emotional freedom technique practitioner with trauma training, specializing in reprogramming parental mindsets and fostering a growth-oriented approach. With a background as a preschool teacher and teen mentor, Nicole guides families from diverse backgrounds. Her compassionate, personalized coaching creates positive change within families. Outside of coaching, she enjoys Pilates, cycling, and spending time with her family, engaging in activities and building connections. Welcome, Nicole. It is a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for joining us today.
Welcome, and thank you for having me. I'm feeling very good to be here today.
Now, a lot of this, most of our parents are going to understand what this bio is about. But when we talk about emotional freedom technique practitioner, this is one of your specialties. And in my world, we know that as tapping. Can you explain a little bit more about what the emotional freedom technique, aka tapping, is about and how it works?
Okay, sure. So basically what it is, it's a combination of Chinese acupressure. We work on the meridian points that are in the body, and modern day psychology. So it's we come up with whatever problem that is stressing us, that we're not feeling good about. It could be physical pain. It could be you've got this running anxiety. It could be whatever problem is going on. You can take this, you tell your body what's going on with your words, you tell it all the negative, and while you're telling it, you're tapping on these meridian points, which is why we call it tapping, because it's literally the movement that we're making. And what this does is that it actually calms down your nervous system, and it gets your body's natural energy flow to become unblocked and to start flowing around your body like it's meant to. And the reason why I love tapping so much is that what it does, if you go through an experience that's caused you pain in your past or anxiety in your past, what the tapping does is that you can actually, by tapping on the meridian points, is to let the body know that it's okay now, that you're safe now, you're fine now, and that it disassociates the feelings you felt back then with the memory. So you still have your memories, that still happened, but now you are no longer being triggered by that. And it sends a message to the amygdala here at the base of your brain that it is now safe and you can relax. And doing that, you come out of that fight or flight that we can go into. The blood returns back up to the brain, the body calms down, and you're able to think clearly and to come up with some good solutions for yourself and your family.
That is a really great explanation for that.
It
Thank you.
is.
Thank you so very much.
And for those people who are just listening, who weren't able to see Nicole, she was actually tapping on specific points on her face. And if we do this a little bit later, she'll tell us exactly where we're going to tap as we're talking about this kind of thing. So that was a wonderful explanation. Now, can you go a little bit into your backstory and tell us why was this powerful for you as you were growing up, or your family, or how did you kind of get into this and start sharing this with families?
All right. Yeah. So, well, I didn't know it growing up. I wish I had. My life would have been very different. And so what happened was that Greece came into this financial crisis. It hit Greece really, really badly, if you remember. And at that time in my life, I was a mom. My oldest son back then was about 2.5, and I had just given birth to my youngest son. And I had just discovered that the nursery school that I was working at, that there was no place for me in September to return to, that they couldn't get the numbers up anymore because of the crisis. And my husband has his own business. He has a motorbike shop selling bikes and servicing them. And these are like now had become luxury things. And obviously somebody was going to work more towards putting food on the table than to go out and buy a motorbike. And so our lives were hit really hard. And we had these two beautiful little boys, and they were really, really small. And I just freaked out. I just, I kept coming up, oh no, you know how your brain latches onto this, and it makes a story, and soon you're like 20 years in the future, and you can see this very bleak and dark story, future waiting for you. So I stumbled onto tapping through a summit that was done by Hay House, which would bring in speakers about how to improve your life and how to support yourself more and things like that. And Nick Ortner was one of the guest speakers, and he was talking about this tapping thing. And he invited us all to tap along. And just by going through the points and tapping lightly on them, I felt my whole body calm down. And I thought, wow, this is absolutely amazing, just for this little thing of peace. And suddenly the future did not seem so bleak and hopeless. And suddenly I had hope again. And it was absolutely amazing. And so what I did then was that I learned how to do the tapping. And I was tutoring students. And one evening, a mom called me and said her son had had a panic attack in the English exam, and that he didn't, he wasn't able to complete the exam, and it was an important exam because it would say which English class he would be going into the next year. And she said, please, can you talk to him on the phone? And I said, no, I'm coming there. I'm coming to your house right now, and I'll speak to him. So I went. And I taught him some breathing techniques, and I taught him tapping. And we tapped on all that anxiety that he was feeling. And he was telling me the most amazing things, what was actually troubling him and bothering him. And we did all the tapping on this. And the next day he went in and passed the exam, no problem at all. Like it was so easy for him. He said he couldn't believe how easy it was. And I felt that there was some real value in this, that I could be sharing this with my students. So I started doing that with them. And this little boy, once he got his major English exam, he said that he was didn't want us to continue doing English lessons, but wanted me to continue mentoring him and doing the tapping with him, because he was really battling at school. And so we started meeting once a week, and I was doing this. And I soon realized, though, that although I can see this is helping the little boy, he was being triggered throughout the week and between our sessions, because mom would get angry and frustrated with him. And, and then he was being triggered again. And so I thought it would be a really, really good idea is to start mentoring parents as well. And that's when I started going and doing studying, and I went and got certified in the tapping, and learning about how to elevate children's self-esteem, how to help them develop a growth mindset, and become in charge of their lives, not to react to life, but to start creating a life that they wanted. And this little boy today, it's so amazing how well he's doing. He said to me at the beginning of the last academical year, he said, oh, I'm really looking forward to studying this year. This is a boy that never opened a book. And he said, I'm really looking forward to studying. And he said, I've got this great plan. And I said, what's your plan? He said, I'm going to view it like a PlayStation game. And each time I'm studying and I'm doing well, I'm going up a level. And, and by the end of this year, this same kid was having strategies on how he was going to study and how he could get better. And the turnover was absolutely amazing. And luckily, mom got on board, and dad, and I worked with them for a year, and to help them. And they were absolutely amazed. When I go into a session, I say, what are your goals? What would you like to get out of us working together? What would you like today, in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year's time? And they were absolutely amazed that just from us getting together, I showed them the tapping to tap down their fears. You know, when a parent can take care of their own emotional world, they're not being so worried, you know, like what's happening with my son? Is he studying? Is he this? Because then we can help them handle their fears. And then they don't bring their anxiety and their fears onto the child. And that is like one of the most amazing things I like about this work. And so, yeah, and so they got on board, and the goals that they had set for us to work together, where they would like to see their child in a year's time, we began to see strong signs of those being completed in 3 months' time. It's incredible. And, you know, one thing, you know, if the viewers are listening out there, we don't know how to parent. And so we kind of go through this whole process just winging it, trying this and trying that, and not really understanding the full effect that we're having on the children. That it's, you know, if you want to see changes in your children, they have to start with the parent. And we've got to step into being conscious parents. We've got to parent consciously. We've got to have goals. We've got to work towards those goals. We've got to bring our children in and work with them. One of the first things I teach parents are the family meetings. I mean, it's a game changer. Get together as a family and sit down and say, what are our goals as a family? What are all put our personal goals down, and then it's just working towards those. And you get in front of the problems, and you get in front of the issues.
Yeah, that is exactly some of the stuff that we're trying to bring back in vibrant family education, because for so long, our society, especially here in America, has gone to the disillusion of the family, to both parents having to work, to the schools raising the children. And so, you know, part of what we do is we try and so much bring back the core family values and the working together as a family. When both parents started working, then so many of our traditions and family traditions started to be lost because we weren't able to pass them down effectively to the children. So what you're talking about is so vital and core to what we're bringing about in vibrant family education as well. And that you just like walked into this and grew up with it is just the way you're bringing about is absolutely fantastic. And so you're coming to it at it from a different way than we are, but reaching the same conclusion. So it's really beautiful, the story that you have and the way you got here. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. So thank you. And so how has, so you started bringing this to more of your families. How is it working for you? How are your families coming together through this process?
So it's like going out and talking and reaching out to people. So it's gathering that, and you know, so there's a process, you know, that you've got to trying to reach people, because not everyone is open to something like this, because they go, you know, I don't know in America, but like in the Greek culture, families are very private. They don't want their problems to be put out there. So it's working with them in such a way that they are wanting to try this. They are wanting to trust you. They are wanting to see how they can support their children more. The good thing is that there isn't anything that family wouldn't do for their child. So it's easier to get me to go and work with the child than to get me to work with the parent. But I realized that it needs a combination of both. I need to work with the parents and the child, because otherwise everything I'm doing with the child, if it's not being supported at home, it's not as effective. And so I've really like tuned my packages into that. If you want me to come and work with your child, I'll need to see you. So I normally do meet with the children once a week, and the parents, mostly the moms, not all dads can make the meetings. So it's mainly moms, and I meet with the mom once a month. so that I need to bring them on board and to support what we are doing and to understand what we are doing. And then when they're triggered by something, I bring in the tapping, and we can tap on the mom's emotions, the mom's fears. I even actually have, with tapping, you can do this thing called surrogate tapping. I don't know if you've heard of that. And so I have a mom that I've been working with for quite a while now, and her daughter has social anxiety. And she is not even in a place where we can tap together. So I can get to talk to the daughter, and she can watch me, and I'll tap while she's telling me what's wrong in her life. And she just wants somebody to talk to, somebody to tell everything to. So you know that, all right, so talk therapy has its place, okay? But the more we tell a story, and to the more people we tell it and how we're repeating it in our head every day, we're actually embedding that story into our lives. And then we are living our lives from the beliefs of that story.
Especially if you continue to tell that story with the energy attached to it. And this is where EFT comes in, is because as you tell the story, you're releasing the energy. So instead of creating little gems of that energy inside of you that get harder and harder to release, you release that energy as you're tapping, so you can tell the story and release the energy. And then you can tell the story without it sticking in you, without that emotional resonance. And so just
exactly
layman's terms for our parents out there to get an underlying understanding of what you're talking about as well.
So the thing is that we want to to tell the story and tap. So I would be tapping and she would be telling me, but we have these things called mirror neurons in our brain. So the tapping was helping her, but she was very, very resistant to doing it for her, because her beliefs around herself were so deep that she couldn't even begin to take ownership for what was going on, because first we need to accept something before we can change it. So what we did with the mom is that we decided that we were going to be doing the tapping for the daughter. So we were doing surrogate tapping. So the mom meets with me half an hour a week, and we bring what she's noticed, what she feels her daughter's going through, and we tap on that. And it's absolutely amazing that her daughter is stepping into the world, feeling more confident. She's just been to England, and then, a summer camp in England at a university, and had the time of her life. And we tapped before she went off. We were tapping on that. So we brought up all the blocks that she might have happened, and then once we got those anxieties, where we're not feeling them as strongly, we can bring in some positive tapping as well. So we did that, and she had an absolutely amazing time. So there's so many different ways that you can use the tapping and bring it into your everyday life. You can wake up in the morning and just do like 2 or 3 minutes of silent tapping. So you're stepping into your day feeling calm and feeling, productive, and feeling that you can manage whatever's going to happen. And then if something pops up in the day, you can just take a few minutes and tap on that. And then end the day, the children were shouting, bath time was a terrible mess, I couldn't get them in the bath, and then I couldn't get them out the bath, and I was so tired myself, and then they still wanted the bedtime story, and all I wanted to do was going to sleep, and then I had to stay and hold the hand, and I missed my whole quiet time, my me time, and you can just tap on that. And if you know that bath time is always like a mess and everything else, then you can tap before bath time and see how things go a lot smoother afterwards. So, I strongly suggest that every parent learns how to tap, even if it's coming from work and having that adjustment thing, being at work, dealing with people, dealing with the problems of work, then you walk in the house and you've still got all of that head noise going on. And then the kids are going, oh, play with me and do this with me. And then jumping around because they're so excited to see you. And you're just not there. You can't be present for them. So just sitting in the car before you go into the house and just doing a couple of rounds of tapping and you walk into the house and now you're ready to be present for your family.
I love that. And there's two things there that just popped up. First of all, back to the girl and her confidence that was built because she did go and have such a great time, right? And now you can take that and build on that confidence going forward, because now she knows she can have a good time. She knows that she can go do something that's not so anxiety filled and things like that. And I
Exactly.
connect that to like reading, when I'm helping students beginning reading, when they don't even want to pick up a book because they haven't been successful before. So I always take them back to a really low level where they can be successful and they can be confident. And then once I build that confidence, then we start hitting the harder books and the more challenging books, and they're ready to face it because they have that confidence. So I love that connection of what you were saying about the girl and her confidence and now being able to move forward. I love
And now
that.
she's got the memory imprint of that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Yep.
now her body can remember, oh, actually, when I was there, this and this and this happened. And now this situation is very similar, because, you know, the subconscious mind connects it to our five senses. So what we see, taste, smell, hear, and it connects everything, all the emotions to that. I mean, haven't you experienced that you're going somewhere and you suddenly heard a song and boom, you're back in that 6th grade and where you first heard the song and it's so fun and everything else. And that's just how we're built. And so now she's got the memory, I call it memory foam, you know, like the sleeping pillow, for having that wonderful social time and interaction. And now, you know, she might have fish in Greece, and she had fish and chips in England, and now all of a sudden, Bob, she's feeling calm and comfortable, and she's being triggered in a positive way.
I also like how you brought it back to the parents, and especially like coming home from work, how to do maybe a tapping. We had a gentleman on our podcast before, Scott Ramage, and he talked about how important it was for dads coming home to have a routine, whether it's like touching a specific tree or to basically take work off, not take off work, but take work off of yourself when you get home. Have a ritual, bring yourself presence, so you're not bringing your day into your family, that you leave that in the car. So you can now, here's another tool to leave it in the car with tapping, and then to be able to come into the home fresh. So instead of bringing your day in and maybe your problems or your stresses and dealing with your children while you're still having that stress, you can have this ritual, this system to leave your work out of the home and come home and be with your family, which is so very, very important. And so many people don't know how to do that. And so I love that you actually brought that back to the parents as well, to help create possibly a ritual to leave work outside of the home.
No. And you know, you mentioned you know, helping children and building them up with their reading and building up their confidence. So I have a little story to share with you. So my son has ADHD and he's dyslexic, and when he was small, of course, we didn't really know what was going on. And so he had to do some copying. So he had to take a sentence and write it 3 times. I think he was 6 or 7 years old, probably 7, when he was doing this. And this to him was so difficult. So what he did was that he made himself a hidey place in the house. And he went into his hidey place so that we couldn't find him, to tell him to come and do his homework, because he did not like the copying at all. And he had copying that day. So this is the first time I thought I could use tapping with the children. Up until then, I just used it for me. And so I went and I sat just outside his hidey place, and I said I would really love it if he could come out. And I said I have a magic trick to show him, and that we would do it. And if he still didn't want to do his copying, that was fine. He didn't have to do it. So he came out of his little hidey hole and sat next to me. And we started doing the tapping together. All right. So you normally start with what we call a setup statement, and you tap under your little pinky finger to tell your body what issue you're going to be dealing with today. So I got him to repeat after me that even though I don't want to do my copying, I'm still a really good boy. Okay. Just really, really simple for children. Can be that simple. And then we just started tapping through those meridian points on our body, just saying, I don't want to do my homework. I don't want to do my homework. And we got to about 3 points. And he said, you know, Mom, it's not that I don't really want to do my homework. He said, but you know what the problem is? I said, what's the problem? He says, I feel like I'm on the top of a very, very tall building. And if I take a step, I'm going to fall down and die.
Yeah.
So what we did was we tapped the building down until it was at a height that he could safely just step off of it. And he got up and he did his copying in 2 minutes.
Now, a few words about Vibrant Family Education.
How many entrepreneurs and business owners start out on this journey to make a better life for their family, only to find that it took so much more time and effort than they were expecting that they had even less time for their family? I know I did.
At Vibrant Family Education, we want to help you reach your family goals while you're still building towards your business goals. We do this by bringing you the third leg of the stool to keep your family upright, family education development.
By bringing your children's education home, you will be able to model your work ethic and family values as you overcome obstacles and challenges to build your business. Instead of learning facts to pass tests, your children can be watching and seeing the dedication it takes to build your business and the legacy you want to create for their future. They will be able to witness the struggles and joys, the wins and the losses, and learn from you how to persevere and grow in life.
Instead of waiting until you get successful to spend more time with your family, start with the end goal in mind and bring your family home. Instead of trying to repair your family after you reach success, let us help you start achieving your family goals from the outset. Learn to be successful with your family now, and no matter what happens in the future, they will be better prepared for life, especially after watching how you cared for and built not only a business, but a healthy, happy, and successful family.
We offer a wide range of educational services, including how to easily get started with homeschooling. Come visit us at vibrantfamilyeducation.com and let us show you how. And now, back to our guest.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The way, yeah, I mean, giving him the confidence, helping him step through that fear, through that first, that thing that was bothering him so much, and then allowing him to do it. And then again, right afterwards, the confidence of, oh, I just did it in 2 minutes. So then the next day, it probably wasn't as hard. And the next day, it probably wasn't as hard because he had that little bit to move forward with.
Yeah. And then there's as he started tapping, he realized it's not that he didn't want to do the homework. It's
that's the breakthrough.
There was this building and this feeling of imminent death if he danger. And the children are only born with two fears, and that's high places and loud noises. So that sense of being in a high place when he felt like he had to do his homework, that is a very core fear in children. And so to be able to get to that point where it's like, hey man, I feel like I'm really high up here. And then to be able to step that down, that immediately takes fear away from little children as once they're not in a high place. And so his ability to then verbalize that with this process is like amazing.
And it's so important because during the tapping, somehow, once he was calming down his nervous system, sometimes you walk out in the early morning and there's this morning mist of everything, and you really sometimes can't even see your hand in front of your face. Okay. And the tapping, it's sort of like it clears the mist away, and suddenly you go, oh, look there's a car parked over there, or there's a bird up in that tree, and the things are all there, but we just can't see them. So everything is all there, all the solutions, everything is all there for us, and sometimes we just can't see it because we are so bogged down in the fear and the anxiety of things. So tapping can clear that, and that is what enabled him to be able to express to me what was really going on for him. And once we know what's really going on, then we can help them. It's always, and this is another thing I always tell my parents, is that the behavior is like a symptom. The behavior is not the problem. If you have a cold, your nose is going to run. You're going to get a headache, you're going to have fever, whatever it is. These are all symptoms. And yes, you can put sprays up your nose and maybe it stops your nose from running, but the sickness is still inside of you. And so we need to go down to the root cause. We need to see the need behind the problem. There is no
sometimes what you think the problem is just a symptom, and the problem that you're having is not the problem. It's just a symptom of the problem. And once you can understand that and drop below that and clear that out, it's like, oh, wow, I don't want to do my homework, but that's not the problem. The problem is this. And if I look at that, then I can do my homework and it's not a problem. So yeah, another really great way to look at things and to change the dynamics of the situation. So that's a beautiful thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
When we
And another way, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, when we were about to come on the show, we were talking about possibly doing a small tapping demonstration, right? And of course, this will work much better if you're watching this on YouTube, but we're going to try to explain it so that you can also do it just listening to the podcast. And the thing that just popped into my head was, what if we could do a little bit of a tapping, a clearing for our parents, for those who know there's something that they need to take charge of and help their family with and aren't quite ready to do it.
Yeah,
Maybe
so many parents think that there's a problem around helping their children and they need to do something, but they're so wrapped up in what they think the problem is that they're not actually taking the steps they need to take. So is that what you're talking about?
Kind of, yeah.
So how can we help parents clear their field so that they can more clearly see what they need to do and what
what I'm hearing, and correct me if I haven't got it correctly, is that and from what I've seen is that parents are afraid. It's that story, right? I mean, I don't know if many years you caught yourself telling your children, I definitely caught myself telling my children this, is that you need to get up, you need to go to school, you need to do your homework, because you need to get to the next level, and then you need to do it all over again, and then you need to get to finish school and get into university so that you can have a good job, and then you have a good job, you can have a good life.
Right.
So now if the child is not doing his homework in class 1 and they don't know how to help him, then that's a fear, because if he can't do that, he's not going to have a good life.
Yeah, the fear of failing their child. I can't help them do this, I can't help them do that, I'm failing my child. Yeah.
And the child won't have a good life, because what is the one thing that every single parent wants for their children is for their children to be happy.
Healthy, and successful is what we say.
You know, most parents want their children to be in a better place than they are, because they followed that. I went to school, I worked hard, I got a job, I got a family, and all of this is happening, but I'm not really happy. But I want my children to be happy. So I'm going to try and make them do better than I did, even though the system is broken, right? Because that's kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and through working harder than I did.
Right. And so they try and force their children to work harder than they did, but the outcome isn't going to be any different. The outcome is they're going to be in the same situation because they watched their parents grow up. So we really do need to change the paradigm with the parents so that the parents can learn to be happy where they're at.
It's so important to be able to step back, and that is so hard. I mean, my son now, the little one with couldn't get off the building, but he's now in he's going, I don't know, he's in high school now, so, and he's going into second year of high school, so he's got this year and the next year, and then he's finished. So at the beginning of this year, and we were setting our goals. We always set our goals at the beginning of the year, and his goal was just to pass. Okay, and what do you need to pass? And he put himself into like extra classes after school and things like that, so because he knew he would need the extra help. Well, his decision, okay, so we want to empower our children to make their own decisions, because so often we make the decision for them, we problem solve for them, we come up with a solution for them, and then we wonder why the child isn't engaging in the solution. It's because the child hasn't problem solved it, and that solution means absolutely nothing to them at all. So it's getting them involved in that. So we did all of that, all right, and we brought him in, but then I didn't see him studying enough. I didn't see him doing the extra homework for these extra classes that he has to be doing. And my fear and my panic rose, because I've been brought up, you need to do your homework, you need to do this, you need to do that. And so I had to work on myself to release my fear, because he is not going to school in the time I went to school. It's all very, very different. The jobs that are out there are so different from being a banker, lawyer, a doctor. I mean, you've got kids being YouTubers as a career, and they're doing so well in them. You know, we don't know what jobs are going to be available in this future. And the way AI is going, we certainly think, you know, the things that we know probably all going to be taken over by robots anyway.
Things are definitely changing.
We can't work for our children's future on our experience of our past, because the world is different. So we need to let go, and we need to have faith. And just like, don't you always feel that this somehow life is always supporting you? Things might go wrong, things might go crazy, but then something good will happen, and you go, oh, I know why that bad thing happened, because look at the good that came out of it. And just as we're being protected, our children are protected.
So now, with that in mind, and that whole scenario that we just went through, where would you start with a simple tapping just to start unraveling that process for our parents? Because they're what you described, so many people are going through.
True.
What little can you give us like a little tapping scenario that to start us through
Definitely.
that?
What about we just do the fear of letting go, the fear of not trying to micromanage everything?
I love it. Yep.
The fear that if we don't do that, then our poor child is going to have a terrible future. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. So the first thing we do is we want to have a lovely deep breath. So we're going to get our breathing going. Let's have a lovely deep breath in and out. And out. All right. Then I want you to take your fingers of the one hand. Either hand is fine. It really doesn't matter. And under your pinky finger on the side of your hand, I just want you to tap with those 4 fingers very, very lightly. And then you're just going to repeat what I'm saying. So we start off with the setup statement, and we say, even though I feel so much fear in me.
I feel so much fear in me.
About my child's future.
About my child's future.
I'm going to accept and honor how I'm feeling.
I'm going to accept and honor how I'm feeling.
Even though there's all this fear in me.
There's all this fear in me.
If I don't keep on top of things,
if I don't keep on top of things,
my child's not going to perform well.
My child's not going to perform well.
He's not going to do well.
He's not going to do well.
And he will have a very, very bleak future.
And he will have a very, very bleak future.
I'm going to love and honor how I'm feeling.
I'm going to love and honor how I'm feeling.
Even though
there's
so much fear in me.
There's so much fear in me.
That if my child doesn't get the schooling thing going.
That if my child doesn't get the schooling thing going.
If he doesn't get on board with it.
If he doesn't get on board with it.
He won't have a future.
He won't have a future.
Not a successful one anyway.
Not a successful one anyway.
His life is going to be so hard.
His life is going to be so hard.
And I don't want that for him.
And I don't want that for him.
I'm going to love and honor how I'm feeling anyway.
I'm going to love and honor how I'm feeling anyway.
Now, what I want you to do, so we've set it up, we've explained to our body what we're worried about, what our fear is. So I want you to take 2 fingers, normally the next 2 fingers from your thumb, and tapping on your eyebrow point where your eyebrow sort of meets your nose. And you're just going to tap lightly. All right. And you're just going to keep on going now, and you're going to say, all this fear.
All this fear.
Now we're going to go around on the bone to the side of our eye and say, all this fear.
All this fear.
And stay on the bone and go under the eye. All of this fear.
All of this fear.
Now you're going to go under your nose. I'm really afraid.
I'm really afraid.
That if my son doesn't do his homework.
That if my child doesn't do his homework.
Then he will not have a good, successful future.
Then he will not have a good, successful future.
Now we go in the chin. all of this fear.
all of this fear.
And now open your hand wide and tap just on your, below your collarbones. I am so afraid
I'm so afraid
that if he doesn't do well, if my child doesn't do well in school,
that if my child doesn't do well in school,
he won't have a good future.
he won't have a good future.
And under the arm, just, you know, where the girls have their bra straps about that point, all of this fear.
All of this fear.
And then on top of your head, all of this fear.
All of this fear.
And that's what we call one round of tapping. Okay, and you would keep doing that until your fear came down. I would like to, could we do a little bit more so we can get onto this fear if I'm not in control all the time?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
At least one more
So-
round. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go back to the eyebrow point. I need to control this.
I need to control this.
Side of the eye. I need to micromanage my child.
I need to micromanage my child.
Under the eye. That's what a good parent does.
That's what a good parent does.
Under the nose. And even though my children are resisting this,
And even though my children are resisting this,
in your chin point, I need to do it anyway.
I need to do it anyway.
Under the collarbone, I can't give up my control.
I can't give up my control.
Under the arm, I can't trust that they're going to be okay.
I can't trust that they will be okay.
And on top of the head, I need to be on top of this.
I need to be on top of this.
And let's go around again on the eyebrow. I know I'm pressurizing my child.
I know I'm pressurizing my child.
Side of the eye. And my child is reacting.
And my child is reacting.
I don't know another way to do it though.
I don't know another way to do it though.
There's a part of me that needs to pressurize him.
There's a part of me that needs to pressure him.
There's this part of me that needs to control.
This is part of me that needs to control.
Because that part of me believes I'm being a good parent.
Because that part of me believes I'm being a good parent.
That I'm looking after my child in the best possible way.
That I'm looking after my child in the best possible way.
Even though my child is not really happy.
Even though my child is not very happy.
What if I could give up some of this control?
What if I could give up some of this control?
And we keep on moving through the points, the side of the eye now. What if it wasn't so bad if I wasn't so controlling?
What if it wasn't so bad if I wasn't so controlling?
What if I could just trust a little bit?
What if I could just trust him a little bit?
Trust that there is a force looking after my child.
Trust that there is a force looking after my child.
And it knows better than me.
And it knows better than me.
Because I don't know what's in the future.
Because I don't know what's in the future.
What if I could give up a little bit of this control?
What if I could give up a little bit of this control?
Just to try it out for a little bit.
Just to try it out for a little bit.
And if it doesn't have a good result,
And if it doesn't have a good result,
I can just go back and being in control again.
I can just go back to being in control again.
Okay, lovely deep breath in and out. And how does that feel now?
Because of the breathing and just the relaxing, I actually almost have like a tingly around my whole body. It's like just kind of relaxing and just like a kind of a tingle feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because we know as parents, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves and we seem to feel that we are 100% responsible for our children. And the truth of the matter is that our children come through us and our role is to guide. It's not to control. And that is so difficult to learn though. I mean, I saw it with myself this year. There is my son, you know, oh, mom, I'm going out to play football with my friends. Oh, mom, I'm going to do this. And I go, history test. Why aren't you learning for that history test, you know? And
Right.
I had to first become okay with the idea that perhaps he won't pass the year, perhaps he'll fail the year. And I had to become okay with that, which was hard for me because growing up, that was like the worst thing that could possibly happen. And so when I made peace with that it's okay. I'm not in control of his life. I don't know enough to be in control of my life, let alone his life, you know? And so I'm going to trust, and perhaps him failing and him seeing that is going to be the best thing for him to motivate him to go forward. And so I had to step back, and he came to me, and he started having conversations. Now I take him once a week and we do the tapping together. I put that in place. I thought, if I'm stepping back totally, at least I want to put a support system for him. I don't want him to get disillusioned. I don't want him to believe, oh, I can't do this. I don't want him to fail and say, oh, it's not for me. So it's a balance, but you know, others putting in a support program and helping his mindset, helping his, you know, to get that growth mindset, helping him set goals. How did that go? Always after a test, how did that feel? Did you feel good? Were you proud of yourself? Do you believe you put in enough work? And he would always answer me. So always it's the check-in and getting him to say how he felt. And soon he began to say to me, you know, Mom, I think I'm going to stay in tonight. I think I need to do a bit more studying for my history test.
Nice.
And that came from him. And he reached his goal. He passed his year.
Yeah.
Nice.
Amazing.
Without the fighting, without the pressure, without the threatening, you know, and that's what it should be like, right?
Exactly. And so even though this is an older child, a high school child, if you're putting these things in place when your child is little and checking in with them and helping them understand that the way they do things have consequences, good and bad, and then how they feel about themselves is super important, so they know how to motivate themselves, then it's intrinsic. It's from the inside. And most of us know we can do so much more when the motivation comes from the inside instead of the outside. So you're there to support, you're there to help, but you're helping them understand how to do it for them and for their best life.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, when he was smaller and, you know, so it would be to help him and to motivate him, you know, I would use the things that they enjoy doing. So he loves playing on the PlayStation. And so when he went to middle school and he thought he was managing playing PlayStation during the week and studying.
Right.
And I could see he wasn't. And I could see that the PlayStation was distracting him. So I said, all right, do that. But I want you to know that if you want PlayStation in the next term, this term, I need an average of about, their marks around a 20. So I needed a 15, that he needed an overall average of a 15. And so he didn't get the 15. I think he got a 13 or something. And so I took PlayStation out the week, and he could only have it for certain hours on the weekend. And so when he got into high school, you know, and I said to him, so what do you want to do when you finish school? He said, oh, I want to work at Dad's shop. I'll take over the shop one day. So Mom, you don't have to worry about me. I don't need to study. So I said to him, well, if you're going to own your own business, you actually need to study harder than the other children, because it's much easier for you to go to work. And if you make a mistake, they go, it doesn't matter. You still get your money every month. You still have that safety. You wake up and you're sick and you don't want to go, you phone in sick, you bring your doctor's paper, and it's all okay. You know, you still get your money at the end of the month. When you own your own business, you have to run it. You have to know accounts. You have to know how to talk to people. You have to know sales. You have to know how to fix a buy. I said, there's more for you to do. And if you make a mistake, you're going to pay for that mistake. Maybe you lose a customer. You know, you don't know what's going to happen. So I said, you more than all of them have to study harder. And that really helped him. And I sent him in his summer holidays to have to go and work a portion of his holidays, every holiday at the shop, so you can see if he really wants this or not.
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
it's really like. And he, I mean, this year now he worked half of June and all of July.
Yeah.
And he went to work every day. I mean, like, and he puts his best foot forward. So now, like I said to him, so what I really think is that you go to a college after school. And he said, oh, do you really think so, Mom? And I said, yeah. I said, you know why? I said, why? I said, because, you know, electric bikes are becoming a thing, but we don't have anyone at the shop, you know, that can service an electric bike. So if somebody has one and it breaks, dad needs to outsource it.
Right.
And so he has to pay that. I said, but can you imagine if you were the expert in fixing electric bikes and then people would come to you and you didn't have to outsource. In fact, other shops will be outsourcing to you and you will be, you know, and so he loved that idea. I said, yeah, but to get into a college, you need a 15 average. So I said, so before it was getting your PlayStation, that was what he wanted. But now he wants to go to college. And so now you shift the goal of what he's working towards, where he has to go. Yeah. So it's about growing and evolving and shifting all the time, coming back, what's working, what's not working, what can I do differently? And always being in that calm space.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Wow. I think we could keep going, but we don't want to go too long because our podcast can only be so long, but hopefully everything that we've done, the tapping session, the inspirational talk of how to work with kids and parents at the same time, have really helped our parents, our audience, take a shift and think about, how can I do things a little bit different? What resources, maybe this thing called tapping, ETF, right? EFT.
Emotional freedom technique.
There we go. Or other coaching, other things that we want to bring into our family life to help it improve and grow better. So thank you, Nicole, for all those gems that you've dropped along the way. And thank you for the information. And would you please make sure you say out loud, how can parents get a hold of you if they want to continue this discussion further with you?
Sure. So I am on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called The Parenting Solution. And so people can find me either under that name or by my beautiful long name. And, you know, in the group, I've started this thing that every Tuesday I put in a little tap along. And I just choose something that, you know, I feel that parents might need and they can tap along to it. There's a YouTube channel, which I also upload them onto the YouTube channel and people can follow me there. And yeah.
Awesome. And all of those things, all those connections will be down in the show notes. So just in case you're not quite sure what she just said or can't quite remember, it'll be down right below this video, right at the end of the podcast. So make sure you click on those.
And Nicole, thank you for being on here today. In a world where so many people just talk about problems and complain, you took a problem and you found a solution for it, and then you decided to share it with the world. So that's the hero's journey. And to me, you are a hero, putting yourself out there for the world to criticize and make fun of, and actually to come back and make a difference and help improve people's lives. So to me, you are a hero. Thank you so much for being here today. I so much appreciate what you do.
It's my honor.
Thank you for being you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you very much.
All right, audience, until next time that you hear from us, be sure that you're taking those ideas, growing your family, helping your children be happy, healthy, and successful, and make sure that you are talking with your family, encouraging your family members, and being a support for each other. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye. Hello, and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Kristina. And together we bring you experts